Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm seeing all of your beautiful faces, even though the spotlight is shining bright. How are you feeling on this second night of this wonderful festival called Afropolitan? Great, right? Yes! Woo! You made it. Thank you so much for coming. So my name is Ren Elisabeth Kiambote, and I will be your host for tonight. And I'm so happy to be here with you all for the fifth edition of this festival. We missed it 2 years in a row because of COVID. But we're here to celebrate women and their power. So, women and their power, the creativity that generates artistic people, the energy that they generate, the encouragement that they get from people who are actively their allies, that is something that is very important. So that is why it's so important for you all to be here tonight. So I'm going to need a little bit of your help with what I'm about to say next. So when I tilt my mic like this, you say, uh-huh. Do you understand? So repeat after me, uh-huh. Okay, very well. A little bit louder next time. Okay, so I want you to give it up for all the people in the room who support these women, who encourage these women, and who create space for these women, and are straight up allies. Give it up for yourself, please. Yes. So as I said, tonight is the celebration of creativity of African females around the world. And not only the power that their creativity generates, but also the struggle that they face, the perseverance that it takes to face all these discriminations in the industry and gaining more freedom while doing what they love. So thanks to Black History Month Belgium, we are here today for this event, for this talk. You will hear some interesting people from the industry itself. And yes, there are producers, there are executive directors, there are festival founders, artists in general as well. And so, before we deep dive into this talk, I have a surprise for you. Yes, it's only been a minute I've been on this stage, but I already have a surprise for you. It's a wonderful artist straight from Nigeria who's come here to share her experience on what it is to be a Black female in the music industry. So please, without further ado, put your hands together, your feet, everything, and welcome Asha! Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, sorry. I didn't even introduce Eric. No, actually, Eric is one of the programmers of Black History Month Belgium and also from Rainbow Nation Brussels. And he's the co-curator with his colleague Olga, who is in the backstage, for this wonderful talk. And he has his invitees, or how you say it in English? Invite guests, voila, who are sitting here and who are ready to share their experience. But Asha is going to speak first, I guess, because she has actually made time for us before her sound check because she's performing tonight. So I really hope that you will stay for the performance later on in the room next to us.
Yes. So good evening, everyone. Thank you, Asha, for giving us a bit of time before your sound check. I know that it can be a bit nerve-wracking before a show, so thank you so much. I'm living for the Gucci and the Margiela. Yeah, it's giving me life. It's giving rich auntie vibes. I love this. As you know, so like the theme of this talk, it's like Black female stakeholders in the music industry, and so we wanted to make the most of having someone who's had a career for a while in this music industry, been based in different places, explored different genres of music and whatnot. Enjoy that, and so that you can be here and so we can ask you a question. But I'm just going to start with like a very simple question, like how did you get started? with your passion for music, and then how did you eventually make it into your job and get into the industry?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted to do music, so I can't think of anything else outside of music.
Yeah.
And so when it was happening, all the few performances, like in Lagos, going for talent shows, going for a few months to a music school to learn how to play the guitar. For me, I was already working.
Yeah.
So so I didn't really know that I had, we're just starting, even after I had signed my first contract.
Yeah.
And because of that, I didn't know I had a hit or a couple of hits. I was just moving, I was just going. So what I'm saying is, in essence, is when I look back, I ask myself, did you have time to celebrate? Which I actually never did. Or perhaps I didn't know how to celebrate, because for me, it was just work, trying to navigate, coming to France. I was born in France, but other than, I left when I was 2 with my family, went back to Nigeria. And so it's almost like the slate has been wiped clean. So coming back to France, I didn't understand the language, I understand the food, didn't understand the psychology, didn't know about black people, black makeup. So everything of Asha has been a misconception, because I just was in front of the camera not knowing what was going on. But practice makes you better. And I think, looking back, honestly, I celebrate. I think I'm grateful for where I am. I'm grateful for, when I listen to young artists, new emerging artists, already established artists, and they say, "Oh, Asha, we listen to you. Thank you, because of you, we're doing music." It just makes me look back and say, wow, well done.
Absolutely.
This is what you've always wanted to do, but you never took time to celebrate.
And it's amazing that the celebration is coming through other people also giving you flowers and being like, okay, wow, you actually made me want to do this, and made me realize that it was possible to do it. Going back to then Nigeria and getting your start there, growing up personally, so I had the music was quite popular. We had acts like Two-Face, we had P-Square and whatnot. Back in the day, they had Fela. There's always been a Nigerian artist on the map, but now I feel like with this new resurgence, Yemi Alade paved the way. Now we got Thames and whatnot. So I feel like we have more artists coming from the continent and then making it across the diaspora without having to be based in London. We have to So for you, how was it to be okay, so I may have been born on European soil, but I am a Nigerian girl raised. Were you oh, okay, I have to leave Nigeria if I want a shot at having the type of career that I want? Or was it just circumstances that you ended up signing mostly in France?
No, I've always seen myself outside. But never losing touch with home.
Absolutely.
The last thing I want is to be a stranger in my home, and I've always said that from the beginning.
That's beautiful.
I always think local but act global. So I've always been global in my head. In my writing, I'm always thinking of the world stage. So, but my story and my inspiration comes from growing up in Nigeria, living in Lagos. The family, what we hear, within the family, the environment. So for me, it was gonna happen, because I was already out, even if through books. Mainly through books, for me, through music, listening to Fela Kuti, Bob Marley, Marvin Gaye. I mean, I remember that I would just hide behind the couch. And I only need to open the vinyl, my father's vinyl, and just look at Diana Ross and just go somewhere else. that was the only thing. Music was the only thing that made sense in this mad African setting where parents, you know, I always say every African, Nigerian especially, we need therapists, honestly.
If you go into that.
You know, the childhood, like you don't even have, you don't have a say. It's like go here, go there, do this, do that, stand up, jump, or high, shut up, go to bed. So for me, music was my escape, you know, my healing as well.
Yeah, and I can definitely understand that if all these influences came from all these places, Bob Marley, Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross and whatnot, that you were like, okay, then I want my music to also be shared globally. The way their music got to this little girl in Lagos, I want my music to get to. So that's quite super beautiful. I've always loved the blackness in your visuals and like in your sound. Like I remember first time I ever saw the video for Be My Man with that beautiful man working behind the counter playing your man. I was like, yes, this is beautiful. Love the song. Hearing Jayla, I was like, it felt like the relationship in that song sounded also kind of political in a way. And all up until today, like right now, I like the visuals you shot them in Nigeria. If I'm not, your latest visuals that came
in Ghana.
In Ghana. Yeah. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. So I've always also very much loved like not only your songs all the way from Jayla Be My Man to today, but I've always also loved the visuals and how it celebrated beautiful black people and whatnot. Has that always been something intentional, or was not even intentional, was just natural? You were like, okay, I'm casting a man, I'm casting people to be featured in my songs, and they're just going to end up to be my people.
No, absolutely. Everything is all well thought through. For me, again, I always like inclusion. I don't want to be, because I'm black, then everything has to be black. I mean, my family is pretty open. I have French, Francophone families. Part of my family moved and stayed in Ouida, in Benin Republic. So with that, I'm traveling, even without leaving the continent, from their stories and from their style. And growing up with, you know, elegant, my grandma, I grew up with really strong women in the family. My grandma is like, she's the baddest bitch in the house. My aunt as well, she's gangster, you know, it's like, you know what I mean? So growing up with all these elegant women who's gone out and come back and tell the stories, and through their clothing, through their style, or it could be through their, you know, utensils, you know, everything is pretty well thought through. So me choosing art from the family, and also already in this rich culture from my family, the music, the books, those women, I feel, you know, hey, we need to be inclusive. So the videos are always thought through. Be My Man, I'm surprised because it was a mix of people. You know?
but I don't know. Maybe I was just young and coming into what I like, so I always remember that man.
I remember him with the hair.
Yeah, exactly, and the hat, and like, and also like the beautiful aesthetic, like the 70s, and like that red polka dot. They were like, it was a moment. So But so talking about this new era. You have a show coming on later on. So can you just tease us a little bit about what can we expect?
Well, I mean, how many of you have seen? No, don't answer. Okay, so if you come tonight, come on, just come watch us. You know, and it's I've never performed the same. Each night, and I have an awesome band. It's also a mixed band, and it's going to be a shared night. I always love to participate with the audience. It's not just Asha singing on stage. It's always going to be me and my audience, and I always have fun. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be electric. If you don't like rock guitar, stay a little bit behind. Well, if you like it, a little bit calm. If you can dance, please come in front. We love, because we're going to be playing songs like So Beautiful for the mother. We're going to be playing songs from the new album as well.
Yes.
And we're going to be playing songs from all of my 5 albums.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It's going to be so amazing. Thank you again for just taking the time to be with us. We will see you on stage later. I cannot wait. I've been waiting for this forever. Like I said, like 10 plus, I would say even almost 15 years. So I think I cannot express how excited I am. I hope I will see all of you at the concert later. And also a great local musician, Oriana Ikomo, is going to open for Asha. So it's going to be a beautiful evening all in all and a beautiful weekend. Thank you, Asha, for being with us. And I will let you go to your sound check so that you can prepare the magic for us. And I'm going to... And so now I'm going to move on to to this part of our evening. I'm just gonna quote unquote set the stage a little bit. We had back in March, which is when we celebrate BHM, where our organization chooses to celebrate BHM, right? Because internationally it's in February, but as an organization we created this because we want to own our own thing and whatnot, and not having some state sanctioned things and whatnot. So we were like, okay, March 8th falls within that path. March 8th being International Women's Rights Day, and March being originally Women's Rights Women's Month. So for us, it made sense to kind of honor that. And on March 8th, we have different events, including one in the AB in Ancienne Belgique about Black female representation in the music industry. Charisse was already one of the guests of that talk, but she couldn't be physically with us back then. But tonight she is, and we felt last time that it was a very decent, very nice talk, but some things were missing. Like we realized, for example, the question of colorism was only raised during the Q&A, which makes no sense because what erases Black women from these industries, things like colorism, texturism, fat phobia, ageism, and all this kind of thing. So everything should have been addressed already back then. We were like, but this is the perfect occasion to have a part 2. We're very blessed that Bozar reached out to us to be like, we're going to give you the means and the stage to do it. So I'm very happy. It's a very different experience because last time I was supposed to be on that stage, something very unfortunate happened on this stage. Something very unfortunate happened in 2019 and kept us from being part of Afropolitan. It's not going to happen this year anymore. I don't think, because we're going to safeguard the stage. Anybody who wants to come on stage will be like, no. So it's just going to be us. I think we're going to make an amazing conversation. It's going to be very great. I'm very blessed to be joined by Yemisi and Charisse, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves because, again, today, as a man, I'm moderating this, but again, I always say that moderation is kind of power because you decide then where the conversation goes. So I'm going to try to approach this not too much as like a moderator standpoint, but more like as a facilitator instead of a moderator, so that I can let these amazing women talk about their experiences, but also what they've brought to the field, what they're building, and what solutions they think we should implement, and especially how us as people who are not Black women can help, and also what they can share with their sisters. So I'm very blessed to be able to introduce this. And so I'm going to let them do a little presentation because each of them have prepared a little presentation, and then we're going to go into the questions that I've prepared and submitted to them. So I can let you start since you're... Oh, do you want to start?
No, I'm happy to start.
Okay, let's go then.
I want to know if the technology is ready. Is the technology ready to start? Because I've got some pictures.
Yeah.
I like to talk with... So I'm Yemisi, and yes. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for being here and taking part in this. It's not even a discussion. It's a moment, guys.
Exactly.
Okay, so just a little bit about me. So when I was 18, I graduated university fabulous and went into the world and thought I could be anything I wanted to be. But then the world said no. So I was like, hell no. So I decided to put on the UK's biggest ever African festival when I was 23 in order to...
You better, yes.
Can we slow down the slides? Sorry. And if we could just slow down doing the slides, if we could just pull back a bit, sorry. And then, so what happened was, there was something that happened, was I realized that when I walked into the room as a Black woman, African, someone had somewhere decided that I wasn't of quality. And so the joyous and most, I guess, immediate thing I could think of doing was doing club nights and festivals to celebrate my fantastic self and the fantasticness of all the gorgeousness that I knew to be Africa. And so festival, I feel, is a great space to do that. So as you can, so we went to, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Carnaby Street. One of the most famous shopping streets in the world. And so I went to the council and I asked them, could I do this festival for one day? And the owners of Carnaby Street had already said yes. So all I needed to do was get a license from the council. And they said, there's no room for Africa in the West End. I was like, Anyway.
Africa built the West End, come on.
Well, let's not even go there. So, let's not go there. So anyway, what happened was, instead of having one day, I ended up having 8 days. And 6 free parking spaces. I always drop that in, because if you know the West End, parking is like... platinum. Yeah, right. So anyway, as you can see these photos, we were able to have 200 performances. This is in 2005. We had 40,000 people come. We had the BBC throughout, and it kind of created this platform. In my mind, all I was doing was showcasing what I loved in a environment that was a world stage. Yeah, we have every right to do that. And so I didn't know, however, that I was part of a movement that was going to take this to another level. And so some of the people that are on the stage with the band, actually, Asha wouldn't even know this, a lot of the people behind the scenes are people that I've trained up off the back of Out of Africa. Because, slow down the slides a bit, because the thing that was really important was that I was then able to lend my privilege and my expertise to other people. And so we did Out of Africa in the UK, we ran for from 2005 till 2010, and then we took to Ghana. And these are the pictures that you're seeing now of Asa Baako, which is one of the reasons why I'm here, is because I really fundamentally believe that festival is a great way to create development, cultural, artistic, economic, and social. And so we went into this small fishing village in western region of Ghana, and I'm so proud today our festival brings in $100,000 in tourism spend into this area. We are able to showcase about 80 performing artists every year. We will get to that stage. We do women's empowerment programs, entrepreneurship training programs, artistic residencies, environmental eco sessions, youth programs, so many things that can happen under the music economy. And I think that's what Black women bring to music, is the fact that we can actually see further than the reaches of, And that's what's important to me, creating that ecosystem, really understanding how we can work together. So I just put these, keep going with the photos. So these ones are of the festival. And so today, right now, I didn't have the energy. Keep going with the photos. I didn't have the energy to do club nights until 4 a.m. anymore. And I do not have the energy to be running around. Please, thank you to all the guys that put this festival on, because I do not have the energy to do what you guys are doing. I can't take the stress of it anymore. So what I do now is a lot of mentoring and training and capacity building programs, supporting other producers, because I've seen all the obstacles that I've had to go through, and I'm able to break them down philosophically now and be able to actually support them in when they come against those obstacles, sitting them down and supporting them to be able to think about and have strategies to overcome them and realize their vision. And the other side of the work that I do is, I go to the troublemakers because I'm much more troublesome than they are. And so I can sit down quite surely and say, this is how you're disenfranchising me. This is how you're disenfranchising a group of people. This is the solution. I will not leave the room until you make a change. And so I feel really proud that I've worked with policy makers around Europe, around UK, and now around Africa and Zimbabwe, Egypt, Nigeria, Ghana, Ivory Coast, to be able to actually create really enabling environments, especially for the African voice, but mostly actually for women, because we're going to talk about it. There are so many different challenges that sit around, the black female, in order for her to realize what she's trying to do. So it's all about support. And look, we've got a schools program that we do in Ghana, and I'm so, oh my God, we have radio producers that come in and they talk to the young people about how they have made it in their career. So if you speed up the slides, because I'm going to get to the end, sorry. And this is the eco program that we do in Ghana as well. So if you just, and this is the residency, and I was so happy we were able to get funding to bring together artists from the UK and Ghana together in order to share their experiences, the challenges that they have. If you could keep going, just be pressing. Thank you. And this is them having fun. I mean, he's got to have fun. You can tell I'm fun, right? That's me. So because of the wonderful COVID that we've had, we were able to do the recent residency online. And after this, we will share the YouTube link so you can see the performances. And I loved it because they were able to collaborate Ghana, and so it was Takoradi in Manchester, all online, and they created 3 new songs, which I'm like, what? How can you do that? Yeah. So, So I to finish, an enabling environment, love and spirit, and, and a nurturing attitude, and just a little bit of wisdom is the thing that makes me get up in the morning. And I'm just so happy that I'm devil enough to do it. Thank you. Thank you.
This is brilliant. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing. And it was so good to also then be like, because, Afropolitan, like black from the city, making things move. And it's great that we're not just focusing on our Western European experience, but also then keeping it like a dialogue with the continent, because, wherever we go, we're black. Like people, this whole thing, like, we're not black until you get to Europe. It's like, you're black, get it treated as black wherever you go. So thank you so much for like also working back home and here and all this kind of stuff. We're gonna move on to Charisse Beaumont. Because I love to say that it's always so funny how like non-black people found out about discovered black people in like 2 years ago. June 2020, like whenever Black Lives, where it's like Matter or whatever, was conceived, it was 2 years ago for them, but some people had been working forever and on making change and whatnot, and Charisse is one of them, including with her organization Black Lives in Music. And so I'm just going to let her introduce herself and also the work that she does, and also then just situate that work into the conversation that we're then going to be having.
Sure. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to see everyone here. I kind of wish that I kind of went after you. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because our work at Black Lives in Music is that we use data and advocacy to campaign for black musicians and black music creators in the UK. And we were only founded 2 years ago. I was asked to do a case study by one of the organizations that that developed, if you would, a conscience, sorry to say it if you're watching, but actually wanted to do something in regards to black people in the music industry. So I developed this case study, and they loved it. And the main thing when I was trying to create this case study was that there was no data in the music industry about black people whatsoever. Whether you were a musician, whether you were an industry creator, zero data. And I said, well, before we talk about change, the first thing we need to do is capture this data. So I've got a video in regards to the context of what we're talking about here. But before we show the video, I guess I should let you know a little bit about myself. I've been in the industry for 17 years, and like Yemisi here, I was in university. I was on the same path as everybody else, studying commercial music, gifted in it, but quickly found out that there was no pathway for someone that looked like me. I couldn't get a job, I couldn't get work experience, and I knew this was my gift. I knew I was really good at it. And I had to find another way. So what I did is I stepped outside of music and created a company which had nothing to do with music at all. Actually, it was mobile phones. If you had a Nokia, I probably provided it for you in this country. That tells you how old I am, by the way, Nokia. Yeah. But I made a lot of money. And, you know, with God's providence, I say that, I was able to do music, but the way I wanted to do it. Where there was no pathway before, I created a pathway. So I created a record label and a management company. We've done really well, nominated for Grammys, won Grammys, managed the top artists in the world, because you know your gift, you know what's in you. But unfortunately, there are many out there who, like ourselves, like Yemisi, like myself, like some of you may be out here, you've hit a glass ceiling. You're trying to find another way. So with Black Lives in Music, we're here to tackle those barriers, break them down, work with organisations to ensure that they create opportunities for Black people in the music industry. And we use data, evidence-based data, to hold a mirror up. Let's just put it that way. So I think we've got a video, right? Slide 5 if we haven't got the video at hand.
Slate 1, take 1.
Black music creators reported that they had faced discrimination in the music industry. 20% on the basis of class, 2% disability, 19% age, 24% gender, 6% sexuality, with the majority at 58% of Black creators discriminated against because of their race. Inequality for Black women in the UK music industry is an injustice that will no longer be tolerated, and it is a discrimination that will and must be ejected. Almost 3/4 of Black women have experienced direct or indirect racism in the UK music industry. Nearly 50% of Black women in the music industry have faced discrimination because of their gender. The situation is worse for Black female industry professionals who earn £1,811 on average per month, compared to Black industry professionals who are men earning £2,134 per month, and white female industry professionals at £2,270. White male professionals earn £2,734 per month. Black women, in their efforts to combat discrimination and fit in with their external expectations specifically, are more likely to feel pressure to alter their identity or another characteristic to assimilate within the industry and make specific changes to themselves. 50% of Black women felt they had to change the way they speak, compared to 52% of Black men. 48% of Black women felt they had to change the way they behave, compared to 40% of Black men. 44% of Black women felt they had to change their appearance, compared to 34% of Black men. 11% of both Black men and women music professionals felt they had to change their name. 42% of Black women say their mental well-being has significantly worsened since starting their career in the music industry. And 16% of Black women have sought counselling due to racial abuse. All of this has to change. Every woman should have the opportunity to reach their potential, especially Black women. The barriers must be removed. The time has come for change. The time is now. We are too strong, and we will not remain silent.
I've been working in the music industry for just over 37 years. My first role in music was working for a PR company. We looked after artists like Luther Vandross, Ika Mouse, Frank Zappa, Rolling Stones, Alice Cooper, Eurythmics, Smiley Culture. Joan Armour Trading, loads and loads of really wonderful pop acts. I've seen black women having to be on their hustle, having to be on their guard, having to be guarded, having to do things differently, to shape themselves differently in order to be a success. I've seen women put on a really hard mantle when that's not their natural self, because they felt that was the only way to move forward. And I think more than anything, just seeing women not able to be their true selves in order to find their way in the music industry, find their way to success. Oftentimes when people are dealing with someone who's different to themselves, the first thing is, I don't get them, I don't understand them, I've got to do something really different in order to make this work. And my thing is, we're not that different. I've been in rooms where, you know, A&R and marketing team have looked at black artists, black female artists, and what do we do with this artist? How do we work this artist? And my thing is like, billboard posters, radio ads, it's exactly the same. It's just about looking at us. You know, look at me, look in my eyes, find out who I am, what I am about, what I can do for you. And don't come with expectations. Ask questions, discover, learn, search, and you'll be really surprised at what you find, really, really surprised at what you see.
There are positive solutions that can turn things around quickly. We need more black women at senior levels in the music industry. The time has come for quotas that make sure that black and ethnically diverse women are equally represented at senior levels in every music organization. It's time to introduce education, diversity and inclusion, and anti-racism policies and action plans to be in place in every music organization. The music industry needs to implement better transparency around gender and ethnic pay by publishing an annual pay gap report. Black women who are music industry professionals and creators must have the same opportunities to progress and fulfill their dreams and aspirations. We are calling for an equal music industry, and our voices will not be silenced. Seeing is believing. You've heard our experience, now read the facts. It's time for the industry to face the music. Read the Black Lives in Music report. I think black women are experiencing a lot of negativity, being told to their faces that they can't do certain genres, that they have to look a certain way, that they have to act a certain way as well. I think that's the most damaging aspect to our mental health.
Thank you so much for the work that you do. Can we just go back to PowerPoint? Because I feel like it's going to help me. Well, everything is in the video, isn't it?
Yeah, everything was in the video. You don't
That's
even need to look at that no more.
Exactly. Okay, so
video
we're done
super
with
handy.
you. We're done with you. Let's look at this screen now. Okay. So I wanted to kind of like go on different axes. Tonight, I wanted to first start with talking about the mechanisms of erasure, because black women have always been very central to the music industry, providing vocals, teaching everybody how to sing, because everybody learns from them and then goes on and does it, but black women don't get to do it themselves, songwriters and everything. But also they've always been this very specific dynamics that come from oppression, which are colorism, texturism, featureism, ageism, and fat phobia, that have kept black women from moving on to the potential that they could have. We are in the context where we are in Brussels, the center of Europe, but like very much influenced by the context of the Netherlands, France, our own context, and also the UK, since we have two people from the UK. So I'm just going to give a few examples that got me to realize how important it was to address this. If we look at France, I don't know if a lot of you remember the song Tu es le seul qui m'aille by Ménélique in the 90s. And actually what happened is that they used the vocals of Medina Kone, who is a dark-skinned black woman. But when she heard the song on the radio, and they had told her, sorry, we scrapped the song and everything. And then she heard the song in the radio while in the supermarket, recognized her vocals, and then went on, and so that the video has started circulating, and they had replaced her with a light-skinned black woman called Mayas. That was the first example. But then they also quickly realized that in the French industry, French R&B industry, which is a genre that was inherited from black women, black people, that black R&B singers in France, although they were the best vocally and whatnot, they were not reaching any success, and it was instead white or, this racial category that France has created, les Arabes, although that's an ethnoculture, but like they've created this as a race, and those like Kenza Farah, Vita, Shaifa Luna, these were the women put forth in R&B, but with the erasure of black women. When we look at more international cases, historically there was this woman called Loliata Holloway, and she had done this song like Love Sensation. It's like, it's a love sensation, like, and she and basically she's the most sampled female singer in popular music all over the world, because she's been used a lot in house and dance track. But there was this white Italian dance group called what was it called? Black Box, and they released this song called like Right on Time, right on time, and they took her vocals, did not credit her, and then they used this still black but very. That's why I wanted to talk about ageism and fat phobia as well, but very thin and young model who was named Catherine Kinnell. And whenever there was a TV appearance, the CD single, her face was on it, and they had her miming to the songs while always using the vocals of Loliata Holloway. And the same thing was done by the same group, Black Box, on Everybody, Everybody, to Martha Walsh. Everybody dance now. They put another woman to go and sing the song whenever they were on TV. And it was very representative of what happened a lot with house music, where they would have black women who were church raised with great voices and everything, and they will put them on tracks. But no, for marketing reasons, we're going to put either a non-black woman or like a very thin young black woman on it. And then it's to this day we realize like artists like Jasmine Sullivan, Ray Black, Esther Dean, Mooney Long, who just had that success with like yours, mine, ours. They've been writing songs forever. They want to be recording artists. It's not always the case of everybody. Some people want to remain in the back, but they want to be recording artists, but they pen songs. So the Ariana Grandes of this world, the Rihannas of this world and whatnot. But since they are darker skinned, not as thin and whatever, they never get to be the face of this. And we could go on with artists in the UK. When Pink Black Girls came out, it was a smash, but they were like, okay, we're going to do this color session. We need a light.
Jump in?
Yeah.
Thanks.
So all of these things.
Can we jump in? We've done loads and loads of examples.
Yeah, exactly.
And the question is about erasure.
Yeah.
And I want to get the conversation moving.
Exactly.
Because we all know. And, it's not just in the context of obvious things like, putting, taking the voice, someone else's voice, and trying to paint over it in a different way. But I think from my experience, it's an interesting one, because when I started out, there was very few female black producers. Yeah. It's always been about musicians, music. So as a producer, there wasn't someone to erase me with. Yeah. And so it was very aggressively done. And I could see, it took me a while, but I could see a lot of the talking in the background of how can we get her out of the room? Yeah. How can we take her ideas and actually get her out of the room? And I will never forget when I was facilitating a project, and a lady actually came up to me and whispered in my ear, how dare you, we will get you. And I realized that it was an aggressive threat. Yeah. My move to actually come up with ideas that might actually support the growth of the music industry. And I wasn't even at this point looking at the music industry from the point of view of female, gender, color, it was just because I was really passionate about using it as a means to support people. Mm-hmm. Expression at that point in my life. I've had a really good skill that I was very able to support people to express themselves. And that was my naivety, and that was where I was coming at. Yeah. But then the other example to give was just theft of ideas. Yeah. So you've got the not crediting, but then there's also the actual theft. So, and then the actually physically erasing you off the credits. I did a project once, and I mean, to this day, I can't believe that the audacity to do it. I'd produced the whole 2-week Edinburgh Fringe Festival for an organisation, and then I got a call, and I was asked to leave the city the day before the launch opening, and that I was not allowed to actually host the program I had run and developed for. This is a crisis, everybody. This isn't a glib kind of like, oh, erasure. No, this is harm. And the truth of the matter is, the mental and the emotional damage that it caused to me. I'm just really lucky I have really good friends and family, to be quite honest, because I know too many other people who have now become my clients who it took them decades to get over when they went through that same experience. And when we were eating earlier, we were asking the question, do they even know they're doing it? Is it on purpose? Because how can it not be? How can someone work on a project for 9 months and then be threatened by the director that they have to leave the city and then they're not allowed to present their own work and or be credited on it?
It's intentional.
So, and then I get gaslit and told it isn't. Over to you, my dear.
I'm not sure. Do you want me to answer? I mean,
no, it's not an answer. Just so you know,
we advocate and campaign. We're known for that. So it's good that you gave the example of the dance music industry. Primarily, Black Lives in Music deal with jazz and classical because visibly, that's the most obvious areas. You know, it's completely white orchestras. Jazz being a black art form, completely white. Issues with education, blah, blah, blah. 9 times out of 10, we get emails saying, help me, I'm in a dance music industry. They're doing this, they're doing that, they've stolen my work. We get lots of organized people and producers contacting us because of that issue. But again, it's outside, not just within that genre, it's endemic across the industry. That's why we've created that film and captured the data. And just as Yemisi said, it does affect your mental health. Just internalize it and personalize it for a second. Can you imagine not being credited or made to feel you're not good enough by not appearing in this video? Or in our everyday lives, not getting that role, seeing someone that is less qualified than you, but because he's brethren or friends with the boss, getting the role. What do you think all of these things are doing to our self-esteem and our mental health? The stat we put on there, which was like 42%, said that mental health is deteriorated or declined since being in the music industry. 16% have sought counselling due to racism. We know it's much higher than that. Absolutely. We know it's much, much, much higher than that, you know? But, you know, there's some education and some, if you would, also access issues in regards to mental health that we have to deal with as a community. But ultimately, you know, just as Yemisi said, I'm unsure if it's intentional, they know what they're doing or they don't know what they're doing, but they're doing it. That's all we do know. And all we can do at this moment of time is begin to educate, begin to fight, begin to use our voices, working with organizations where we're not afraid to use our voice. We're here to be a voice to the voiceless. So those who can't risk their mortgages or their careers, we're here to advocate for them.
But I want to, I want to be a bit more radical than that, because I think, yes, it's good about working cooperation, but it was 2007, I had a eureka moment, because I'd spent a lot of my energy trying to sort of like negotiate. And so I just thought, you know what, I can't be bothered. I will never forget it. I was sat in a cafe. I thought, I'm exhausted. I'm too young. I really can't be bothered to like try to be other than myself. And so I thought, I'm going to create my own table. That's it. And then you can come with politeness and there'll be space for you. And that's why we started the festival in Ghana. And it's so inclusive, and it's exactly how it should be. You know, but regardless of the color of your skin or where you come from, you know, nationally on the planet, or your gender or your sexuality, there's space for you. There's room for you there. And so, you know, I think that the radical change can sometimes be accepted. Yes, okay, we have to work with institutions that still exist, but in my heart, just actually letting go.
No, because a lot of people are like, actually I don't want to sit at that table because that table is full of oppressors, so let me go inside another table, and whoever is from that camp but wants to be like, I want to do better, then come and be okay with working under my leadership as well, because I think that's also what it's about, you know, like accepting then the leadership of someone. And what I really loved about the Pink Black Girls example, because it was so fascinating, because everyone was like, but you have to understand Georgia is bigger. I was like, that song had already made it to being viral without Georgia Smith on it. So, but the fact that they were like, okay, we're going to add her on that song very intentionally, that is something. Like, we cannot always justify, but it's going to be making it bigger, like that person is more. It's like, no, it's intentional.
Yeah,
like, you did what you had to do.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's age old, isn't it? You know, some of the quotes that we got from the participants of our survey was, you know, they put white or lighter skinned women there to become, because it's more palatable.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's not the case.
To who?
But this is what I'm trying to say. This is why. This is why we are saying if there are more black people, black women in senior management level, we can communicate palatable to who.
Absolutely.
Because it's not palatable to who.
No.
You know. And it's really important just to get that message across. But absolutely. I mean, colorism is an issue in the music industry that's not spoken about enough. Because there are advantages that lighter skin, come on, we know, we know, but some people don't know. So let me elaborate. You know, the advantages, even down to slavery and the lighter skin, being allowed in the house, how to feel slaves, and it's just that whether you like it or not, that mindset is the exact same. It's the same. You know, and that is what needs to change.
Absolutely.
It's the same mindset. It's more palatable. They'll be more accepted. It's more comfortable for who, palatable for who.
Exactly.
But and I'm saying, and excuse me if I'm saying they, I don't mean to offend, but I'm going to say they as they, or the powers that be also. But they take who we are. You know, I've heard it said, we've all heard it said, they want to be like us, but they don't like us.
Exactly.
They take who we are and take from us, but don't want to accept us. That's a clear example. The example you gave with Black Box back in the day, I remember being a baby listening to that. I wasn't a baby really, but I remember being a baby listening to that.
Song.
That was a jam. I thought it was the woman, to be honest with you. Or other examples, you know, where they'll put a white or a Ariana Grande or somebody that they deem as acceptable, but take our music and give it to them rather than making the investment in black artists. And that's what we're talking about here, and that's what we're campaigning for. The investment. Invest in us. You take from us, invest in us. Build that industry. From the video you heard Paula, it's the same. Billboard posters, radio ads, give us a deal on the record labels. Give us that opportunity. It's not even an opportunity, just give it to us.
See,
we deserve it.
I don't know. I'm of a different mind. I'm like, just stay out of my way. I don't actually want anything. Just don't throw grenades at me.
When I'm trying to do my own
I'm on my
initiatives.
mission, And, you know, if we are going to participate, then let's participate like, you know, it's fine. But the truth of the matter is, it's like, you know, just leading off on, you know, in terms of like solutions that where we're going to go now, there's no portion that I need to take. But what it is that I will literally be doing my work, minding my own business, and then I'll be interrupted. And that for me is why I'm so invested in capacity building and mentoring and strengthening young black leaders who've got their own ideas and their own pathway, and then I come in like to block anyone that's going to come and disrupt their flow.
because that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, they're also like, due to the same mentality, actually, any sort of new initiatives that are started, they're going to be thwarting them to make sure that they die and not investing in them.
Taking it.
Yeah, exactly. Because when we had a call, Charisse and we mentioned Jamal Edwards, who had started SBTV and how it died. But that channel basically brought the grime dub industry
the
to
biggest artists in the world. You're listening to Adele because of Jamal. You're listening to Ed Sheeran because of Jamal. You know, these are the biggest artists in the world, not just in the UK.
Yeah.
But who put them on?
Jamal.
A black man.
Exactly.
A young black man.
And he just died at the age of 32.
You know, and his ideas. You know,
don't even
taking his ideas and replicating them and making, but not taking the person.
And that's the truth of what I'm saying. Yeah. Because you are taking that person.
And so when we're saying equality in the music industry, we're not. Look, we have to find a way to be collaborative and work together. Yeah. That is the main thing. It's not a divide. It's not a who's doing and we're doing. It's a collaborative way. It's recognizing, okay, there is this talent. There is talent in our minds. We're not less than. Bring them on, put them in, give them the opportunities to show their expertise. Stop making the assumptions, you know, where they're palatable. And that's why nothing's changed. But if you put a black person, the person will say, no, that person's the right person. And this is how you market them. And this is the audience you're meant to take them to. And this is what you're supposed to be doing. And then it creates the bottom line. It creates wealth. It creates a better industry. And that's what we want.
Surely.
And... go ahead.
So no, because just to bring it into more positivity, it is but it's different. No, but we've been together like all day chatting.
I told you, you should go first.
The two of us, you should have seen us. I had to leave. We're getting very interesting, but in terms of like that collaboration piece, there actually does need to be rules of how to collaborate as well. And I think this is where the music industry, the culture within the music industry has fed this kind of dog eat dog mentality. Absolutely. And so colour and gender falls victim to already quite a do you see what I mean? A toxic, competitive, ugly structure.
Right.
And so again, you know, what I'm really excited about is working with people of a different mindset who really want to work in collaboration and cooperate. And that's why I love the residencies that we do, because we have to sit there and support the participants to think differently about how they interact and share and respect each other's creativity, you know, and share going forward. I don't have all the solutions, but I do feel that there is some values that we need to start bringing into the conversation, like respect and humility, and all of these things that seem to have left society actually, but more so in the music industry, you know, it seems. And is this the point where we bring in the other factors like being chased around a room, you know, by a man?
Exactly.
Because, you know, if, you know, I mean, my favorite was when I did, I have to laugh now because when it first happened to me, it destroyed me. I was walking through the office. It was my first ever job, you know, and the owner of the company, and as scary enough as it is, an owner of a company, white male, and I'm walking through the office, open plan, and he basically shouts at everyone, "Oh, you guys, you don't want to know what I would love to do to Yemisi." I mean, I was so scared. I was 21 and I was so upset, and it wasn't even that I was so diminished for so long. It took me so long to repair the damage that had happened through the sexualization of me. And he said lots of graphic things about the fact that I was a black woman.
Of course.
Yeah. And then it gave permission to the rest of the directors to then talk to me in a way that, can you imagine, I'm a child.
Yeah.
And the way that the other directors spoke to me about my big lips and my dark skin and my, you know, my country, and being really basic about it, you know. But the point to make, actually, is the fact that I had gotten so unemotional, that what happened was, fast forward 7 years, I started blanking it out. Yeah. And that's danger. Absolutely. That's dangerous. Blanking it out to the point where I got to a negotiation table. I've been working with this guy for about, I would say, well over a year. Yeah. And we met at a hotel. We've been working together for well over a year on the project. And he was like, let's celebrate. We've got the investors in. Mm-hmm. And he said, I've got the keys to the hotel room. Mm-hmm. I won't sign it unless you join me in the hotel room. My response was, you should be ashamed of yourself. Mm-hmm. And seeing as dinner was on him, I was like, I'll have dessert, thank you very much, and go. And I didn't mean any of that. I was broken. I was crying inside. And the only thing that I could do to protect myself was to trivialize, minimize, and make a joke of it. Does anybody in this room want that to happen to anybody? But it happens all the time. And every single person I'm mentoring, especially black women that I'm mentoring, I have to coach them and sit there and hold them while they have to talk to me about the things that your brother did to them, your uncle did to them, your father did to them. Do you know? Yeah. So we do need to talk about this, not with like spirit of like platitudes, but with the fact that this is a lot of damage that has been caused. Yeah. And cooperation build trust. How can you have collaboration without trust? Absolutely. Sorry for the digression, but for me, I'm a long way from collaborating. Yeah. I'm creating my own space. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think, to be honest, you know, there were so many issues, and I've experienced something similar to that. It came out in our survey, obviously. And it is something that the music industry has to reckon with, which is sexual harassment, especially amongst black women. Yeah. And this is not to digress and say we deserve, but also another factor is the over-sexualization of black women, which we see
in music videos.
In music videos. You don't see that with anybody else. You only see what has now become a stereotype of what they see of us, and which is not true. You know, the only way we're going to promote you is if you're literally doing porn. Literally. The only way we're going to invest in you, you've got, you know, a banging body and BBLs and this, that, the other. And it's tearing apart society. And that stereotype, and that needs to die. You know, and then they see that, and then we've got what's happening in the UK, which to be honest, it's almost regular, but Tim Westwood, who's a major DJ in the UK, now, you know, he's been outed for what we've known for years, sexually harassing or sexually abusing even. Allegedly, I have to say it because it's recording. Allegedly sexually abusing black women. This has to die. This guy's in hip hop. So he's only seen black women a certain way, you know? And it's not true. And although, yes, we have to be body confident and celebrate our bodies, which is another narrative, which in itself is quite good, but it's an excuse, in my view.
The important thing you said was that the juxtaposition between black female bodies and pornography is too close.
It's very close.
Which has enabled me to have a career, which, I mean, you can tell I'm a bit of a, I'm like a nerd. I do operations and processes, There's no batty shaking going on when I'm walking around, So, you know, the fact that there's this coding that means that when I walked into a room, I've now started to, I think I've started to own myself enough to stamp that out in people's minds. And I'm also getting older. But when I was younger, you know, the only correlation and the wonderful thing I thought was interesting was no one could believe I was a producer.
Yeah.
I was a singer, and I would be constantly sat and told, oh no, but I bet you can sing. Oh, go and sing us a song. Go and sing. And I'm like, I literally can't sing. And even if I could, you know, that's not the point. I'm walking in as a promoter, producer.
You know, it's just, I mean, same here. I do music business. Sing. Like, it's just only black singers, black vocalists, but you've got black women that can play the cello, play the bass guitar, produce, play drums, play every instrument. But the only one that really gets any shine or gets in the forefront is being a vocalist. And even then you're a backing vocalist. So where's the opportunities? Where's the pathways? And this is why mentoring these young women is important, which is what Yemisi does, and this is what we do at Black Lives in Music. Black Lives in Music, we don't just do data, but it's led us to create pathways, programs, and opportunities. We've used this data, and it's poignant that we're here in the centre of the EU, because I understand you can't actually use data the same or capture data the same way we can in the UK. But data is powerful. It creates opportunities because the data we've been able to get the investment to do a lot of things now to provide equity for our community. And I just want to encourage you out there to somehow, some way, find evidence-based data to prove our point, because, like I said in the last talk, we've been chatting for 400 years. They know what we're going through, really.
Absolutely. When it comes to data and history, it's interesting here because, I mean, we are surrounded by contexts where that's not as easy to get. For example, France, you know, they removed the word race out of the constitution so that it will be made illegal to do any research based on race. So and here it's not officially illegal, but they also don't accept it, so that you always have to find like some kind of digression to make your race-based data.
Are we going to pretend that that's because they're colorblind?
No, it's not. Exactly. It's just because they don't want it. Because you know, like, if you get the data, then it's speaking, and you get conclusions, and it shows the problem, and then like they look foolish for not trying to have solutions, and so they're just shown as just obviously racist and invested in status quo.
Do you know what? Let's switch this up because. There was a question that who is the they? The they is a very small minority of power brokers, The audiences that I deal with, this is totally my experience, regardless of the color of their skin, want equity and an equal experience. And we're being puppeteered by a very, I mean, I haven't got the psychological analysis of their mindset, to be quite honest, but we only see the efforts of and they're winning. So it's kind of like, at the point at which a regulation like that is even allowed to be passed, you know, where's the pushback? Do you see what I mean? You know?
And you know what, you use the word pushback. I think, you know, the only reason why we're here today, well, I'm here today, Black Lives in Music exists because there was pushback. There was protests.
Yes.
There was George Floyd. Now we know George Floyd, and rest in peace. Like, no disrespect. 1 million George Floyds every day, you know? So, and the only reason why we're here today and we're actually being listened to is because millions of voices raised up all over the world, and they couldn't deny it, and it affected their bottom line.
Thank you.
Okay, so therefore, sometimes pushback, or what I would say kicking off, is good. And so, if you're gonna make a change, especially in this area of data, or at least capturing our experience in a more evidence-based way, which is important in this day and age, you need to kick off.
On this note, Charisse has to run for her train.
What?
So
but people want to ask a question.
Yemisi and I can continue and get some of the questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have my details.
Yeah, exactly. I will have the
I'll
details,
see.
and
Yeah.
we can have part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6. I'm all in because this
Do I have to
conversation
shovel
keeps
over?
going.
Should
Yeah.
we stay, keep the distance.
I'm gonna come. You mind? Or should I come here?
Oh, come
I
there.
think it's
Yeah.
I think it's more
That's
practical.
better.
Huh?
Let me know.
I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest.
Oh no, she's got
Yeah.
a mic
Yeah.
on still.
Yeah, she still has a mic
got your
on.
mic on.
Can you cut
Yeah.
her
Cut the
mic
mic.
for hers? Yeah, thank
Oh my
you.
god, I can't believe what they were saying.
I swear, they're like, this one's so
Oh my god!
problematic.
Like,
Eric
oh my
and
god!
Yemisi,
Can
I
you believe
never
that
wanna
Yemisi
see
man?
them.
She's just like,
And this man on that panel. No, but thank you, because it was not a digression. I think it was like a very natural evolution to what you said, because I think you were going to talk about having more quotas or starting your own thing, and how they feel with women, black women in positions of leadership or anything. They won't accept it because they've always seen black women as beneath.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is I want to switch up the conversation from the they now to kind of like what we've been left with.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to do that, but I guess from my own spiritual experience, I'm a person, I just want to have a nice life, I'm kind of like much more, I'm starting to see things like institutional racism. Yeah. So I give an example. There was a really amazing producer put a musical together, and the way in which it took so much more effort to get this quality piece of work, through to production compared to other works, made me actually take pause and think, what are these barriers? Yeah. And so I sat him down, and he'll watch this on YouTube, and I really hope he does forgive me. And I sat him down and I said, we will never make it, but I want you to keep going because our failure needs to be highlighted. It will fail because it's been set up, we're not supported. And it was so hard. But every time something went wrong, we sat down and we talked about it and we wrote it down and we shared it with the community so that they would know what was going to come up against them.
This is the barriers that we're facing. Yeah. Let's be realistic about it.
And then someone said, I can't remember it, that if you're a playwright, for every 5 barriers a white playwright goes through, so you have to write it, get it to a publisher. There's the traditional barriers. Yeah. But a black playwright will have 15. Yeah. And I'm not...
A black female playwright will have 20.
Don't even let me get started. I mean, like the classical musicians, classical black female musicians, I mean, I don't even know how any of them are still alive. Because by the time you get to your 7th barrier, you have, you're so broken that when I always say this, if a black woman walks into the room, clap. Because for her to get into that room...
She had to deserve it.
You would be a heap. You wouldn't even be able to make it onto, you know what I mean? So you have to understand the level of institutional kind of barriers that have just been created, and laid there, by the way. Not even our generation that created them. They're just there. Do you know what I mean? To be enjoyed. So I guess the point of my long ramble is, how do we start to deconstruct, some of these things we've inherited, which we don't actually want.
No. Yeah.
It's fun.
It is.
I enjoy it. No, I don't. I hate it.
No,
but
it's horrible.
I'd love to be just sat at home watching sitcoms and drinking tea.
Yeah, instead of having to think about
Oh my God, I've got a daughter, and my friends call me a tiger mum. She's learning Mandarin.
Yeah.
She plays rugby. She travels with me everywhere when I go. Yeah. Oh, actually, let's switch it up even more.
Tell me.
The thing we were talking about earlier about working mums in the music industry. Yeah. So, starting out, have a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how we're talking about support and everything, and how everything is set up for you to just not be able to perform or do whatever you want,
So,
because
yes.
where's the support system from even the people who had the children with you?
And also, so I gotten myself to a career point where actually everybody was supporting me.
Yeah.
Even people were getting rid of, it wasn't my job anymore. I work with incredible people that they actually spend their time, their money, their resources, including Bozar, to be quite honest, to make sure that I didn't have to carry these burdens, And so I was gifted with being able to have a child, and the one barrier that none of us had seen was actually the support structure. So in terms of like, how does an independent professional black woman navigate the planet? Going to countries where they have very different views of women, and then black women. So going to the different countries, where's my safeguarding if I've got to go and talk in a country that is highly racialized, sort of thing? And then who's going to look after my child when I go on, if I'm asked to go and do a 2-week workshop in another country, who's going to look after my child? If I'm going to do a tour, who's going to look after my child? And so, these are the things, and, it's not to discredit, the fathers, but, they need to be active in the conversation about the fact that they're not babysitters.
Co-parents.
They're actually,
And I would feel like it would be even worse and more judgmental for black women if they're not there, quote unquote, raising their children, because everybody expects them to do all that work, because they've even historically had to raise other people's children.
That's a really good point.
Right? So that they'd be like, oh, what do you mean you're pursuing all of this instead of taking care of your child and demanding that you have a village and you have help so that you can pursue your dreams?
True. If we add the African context into it, so a lot of the women that are on the training programs that I run now, so what I've done is I've cut the drinks off the budget, and I turned that into childcare bursaries, because the truth of the matter is a lot of the women that I'd love to be on our programs can't actually be on our program because they haven't got they can't even ask the fathers to look after their own children. So I provide them with bursaries so they can participate. And also conversations like this, because sometimes it doesn't occur to people. And I know it sounds like, how can you not? But the truth is society has normalized what you were saying, that it is the woman's prerogative to look after any ill family member.
Absolutely.
All the children. If there's an emergency, you've got to call the woman. Even if it's just to tell her. Sometimes the people would just be telling me, and I've said, I don't care. Why are you telling me? Deal with it. You don't need to update me. It's like, I've got things to do. It's fine. And then obviously it's like, oh, you're so cold. No, I'm not. You don't need my permission to look after your own uncle. It's like, look after him. And then you can tell me later at Christmas. It's not, I don't need a WhatsApp message.
Absolutely.
Uncle Kule is ill. And what am I going to do about it?
No, that's
you know what I
true.
mean? And then you sit there, you burn 4 hours of your life worrying about Uncle Kule. And I just wanted to tell you. So these are the sort of invisible kind of that we as a society need to start taking out of women's way, let alone black women's way.
Absolutely. No, but I think all of this can very much be explained with history, positionality in society and everything, because even when we're talking about power abuses, sexual, physical and whatnot, it can always be taken back to history with black women who didn't have agency of their bodies over-sexualized so that they could never be victims, since they're perceived as always wanting sex and being over-sexual and whatnot. So their victimhood is not recognized, and then the Me Too movement is taken away from them and all this kind of stuff, so that it's, even if it's already hard for black women to be recognized as a victim, in these positions of power, even when she's gotten into the rooms, who's going to believe her that she did got all of this?
That's just fact. But it's a fact that we all know. So we don't. So we can choose to just look at how ridiculous it is. That's what I'm saying. It's like we know it's fact. It's more than it's fact. So it's kind of like, okay, that's just stupid. We don't need to participate. So, for instance, you know, when it's like calling out injustice. I think that's a buzzword. I don't know, but you know, if you do see people being disenfranchised in your environment, in your workplace, you know, you don't have to just sit there and just go, well, that's what normally happens.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Exactly.
You know, so it's
not
kind
right,
of,
it's not okay.
and when we say, and one of the agreements we made when we were going to have this conversation was that we were just going to lay it out on the table.
Yeah.
I put a post on Facebook before I joined, and I said I might end up shouting or crying.
Yeah.
And my friends were like, look, just bring it, because the truth of the matter is we're all joined in the fact that we know that this is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
We just need to support each other and not leave each other standing in the room when we're advocating for things that are right.
Yeah.
You know, even we've all got Instagram now. Send me a message, man. Just say, I saw something nasty going on, you know? And I'll be like, all right, cool. I know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They can call this one. you know, let's actually start to, and deal with it, because we don't want it to happen.
Exactly. And not be gaslit into like, oh, but we didn't know that, or this has been going on, so what can we do? Because that's the thing, like earlier when I started, last time I was supposed to be on the stage, and then we had to cancel because I couldn't be complicit with those things.
Okay.
It's when somebody came on stage and was like, okay, what all you're doing, all that complaining, we've heard it before, it's been going on since the 70s, like nothing has changed. Instead of being ashamed of the fact that nothing has changed, it was still going on here. And I feel like, indeed, and also I'm also very tired of like doing all these talks and being like, okay, so this is what happens, this is the facts, and we've done it so far because the facts are there. People know. If they're lacking information, they can go and Google it. If you're lacking information about Black women and how they've been treated in hip-hop industry, Google Drew Dixon, watch Off the Record, Google D Bonds, and all these kind of things.
Why don't we just call it out? Yeah, why don't we step into the light?
Let's step into the light.
And, you know, and feel free. We're so connected now.
Yeah.
You know, if we see someone's content has been
stolen,
you can get in touch with the record companies or whatever. You know, and it's not just in music. It's like you have the right to tweets and things like that, you know. I mean, I'm not a fan of all of that kind of like harassing tweet stuff, but I think really good, eloquent, messaging about what is our social contract? How do we want to deal with each other? How do we want brands to represent us? I'm livid that there's so much sexualization of Black women in music videos. I won't buy them. I won't participate in them. And with the music residencies and the music we create, I'm actually vehemently against any kind of videos that are so basic. And if you go and look at the videos that have been produced, they're beautiful works of art. They're so artistic, and they celebrate what the artist is trying to say and also the essence that they're trying to communicate. And that's a higher level I want to aspire to. And then, you know, bringing people around me to do that. Yeah. And, you know, I think calling things out, I think right now we should be able to come together as a community of shared values and, you know, call out these basic, you know, it's enough is enough. Huh?
Yeah. I have talked enough, but I think people want to hear you talk a bit more, but from their questions, not mine. So can we do a quick round of Q&A? There is a mic somewhere. Can we just then get that mic a bit around so that we can get questions from people? Please speak into the mic because this is being recorded. So we want to make sure that any question, like we hear the question first and then we hear the answer. So if you have a question, please.
And I'm not the expert, so I've been left on my own.
Exactly. Okay. So. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so let's start there. I see one there as well.
Thank you so much for everything that you've said. For one, I find you hilarious.
Thank you.
My question is actually, how do you stay motivated? Because you talked about the fatigue and you've been doing this for so long, and I think everyone in this room is actively trying to make this world a better place for everyone, especially for Black women. But at the end of the day, and I feel it's in Brussels especially, we're tired. So how do we keep going?
Oh my gosh. I really think having support groups is really, really important. And I'd say in an example. So when I first started, I was on my own, and I found that sharing what I was going through I found a group of girlfriends, and it just, all the lies that I'd been told, they were just there to like tell me, no, that's totally wrong, and they were just there to back me up. When I'd walk into a meeting, I'd literally be shaking walking in, because I was like, oh, you're so confident. I've done press releases crying on the plane all the way to the city, and then having to like gather myself, you know. This doesn't come without pain. You know, so I will have to text my friends, my group, you know, and sometimes it can be just a real brutal one where it's just like, tell me I'm awesome. And, you know, tell me all the ways I'm awesome. And I'll just get flooded with, you know. But I think, you know, that's my sort of soft approach. I think structure, for me, in order to feel okay, is I'm very much about knowledge and research. Everyone has to find their own way. You know, having the group, you know, you find your different ways in which you can walk confidently into a room. Another thing I love is curiosity. I like to walk into a room knowing I don't know the answers. I have my opinions, you can tell I'm super opinionated, but the fact is that I can go into a room and be curious and be like, so why are you thinking like this? So then it just takes the energy away from you having to prove a point to actually being able to understand the situation that's going on. But I really believe that everybody has their own way of, I guess, giving them what they need to be able to move to the next level and take things on. So whether it's having a strong family structure or good friends network or educating yourself more or just being a good listener, you know, you find your own way. And the last thing I'd say is I can't advocate this enough. Try and find mentors, really people that, especially if you're trying to do this in a professional development way, really, you know, find people you can talk to savagely about, you know, some of the obstacles and issues that you're coming across. So you can come up with tangible solutions, real time. Because I could talk to my mum all day, but all she'll do is just feed me and go, oh. But, you know, if I go into, you know, which is fine, but, you know, she's not going to help me come up with a strategy of how I'm going to talk to, like, you know, you know what I mean, a new art centre. Because she likes to go, I will beat them. And I'm like, no. I was like, no, tell me who they are, we beat them. And so, you know, so yeah. So I think, no, you're very welcome.
A question there as well.
Thank you very much for your presence. Really enlightening. I have one question and one remark. Is there a Black female music industry union in the UK? And the remark is, here in Belgium, it's another story than the UK, than France, than Holland. We are less aggressive. But it's also a cultural thing, I think. Also white Belgium are less aggressive than French. Not less aggressive. They are
more accepting. No.
Yeah. More.
Yeah.
How to say it?
I agree. I noticed.
Yeah.
I noticed. I agree.
It's like slide is. They are. Comment on dit ça en français? Ils sont plus vicieux.
Vicious, yeah.
It's more sneaky.
Oh no! Oh, okay. I did not. I did not get that.
They're sneakier. Like,
yeah, it's not positive. No.
Okay. So they will let you make you feel that it's okay, but actually it's not at all. So that make it harder, because you can be too aggressive because they are not too aggressive. In the UK, politicians are more in your face, That's the feeling that I have. Maybe it's a wrong feeling. I also know that in the UK and in Holland, there are also sneaky politicians and all that. But I feel that here in Belgium, it's general. So
I love your observation. Yeah. So, I mean, it was actually the same conversation we were having at lunch, and I haven't got no answer. All I can do is just say back to you what you've just said to me. I'm very fortunate that I get to travel around the world, and a country's culture, based on its history, its resources, where it's going, even a certain time, certain point in time, will dictate kind of like the black experience, you know. And we were talking about what are some of the common factors, because we couldn't come up with an answer. And I think and one of the things I did say is that I'm very fortunate I get to go around the world speaking about my experience. But what I do is whenever I go into a different country, I will never say what the black community should do. I will ask. I told you every gift I've got to give. I just ask, how can I, if you want me to help, if you want me to participate, how can I? And I think that's the only place I can answer or respond to what you said is, because you own your own experience, but you also own how to come to a place of peace. And if I can support that, I as a person, I'm really energetic about that. And actually goes to the point of what kind of like motivates me. Just really like seeing people happy, you know. And then I guess the other thing that was coming into my mind was that thing about aggressive or this. I don't know how to contextualize it, but because I'm Yoruba and Nigerian, and Asha almost alluded to it as well, the homestead that we're brought in with is very, you know, so you kind of grow into a determination of your own self. It's very competitive environment to be in, or should I say, I grew up in a very competitive environment. And so it means that when I come up against a challenge, it's like, let's go, you know. And even if it breaks me, I get up in the morning, I'll phone up my friends, I'll be like, this is what happened, what can I do? And I'll be sitting about it. But that, I think, is not, I understand that's not shared. That's why I'm really happy to share my energy. You know, like how some people will share their wisdom, you know? Everyone's got their gifts, and I'm really happy to share kind of, and I'm really articulate. So I'm always ready to share that, you know. I'm very good at making difficult concepts really simple, right? So it's just generosity, I guess. With this, you know, how do we get across, how do we get over things? Just being generous and trust, maybe.
And
oh, yes, sorry. No, I think there must be some. Nothing springs to mind. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. I'll be very happy to ask. I've got quite a number of friends. I could easily just message them after this. Afterwards, I could just message them now and see what comes through. But I think there's associations. I do know I was invited to quite a few over the past few years. I don't know where they are at now. Of course it could be. Sorry, you didn't even see my response when you said it. Yeah, I mean, I know the reasons why it would be difficult to put something like that together. Okay, because look, number one, a lot of black women are not only trying to put their job together, they're looking after their family. And when you're trying to run a job as a black woman, it's not like you get to clock in and clock out. I can't even describe it. It's like you're doing 7 times more work than your white counterpart. You're not doing the same job. Okay, I'll do it in a different way. One of the things I've mapped and noticed with all my black friends is that they'll always be given the poison chalice job, the job that can never, ever, 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 ever be fixed. And they're always told, oh, but you can do it. We see the way you strive. We see how you can do this. Do you understand what it takes to actually try to endeavor on a project that will fail? And then one of the things that made me cry, I never knew this, but there was a project I was doing, and I found out that I was given 0 budget, but my white counterpart was given so much money. I cried. I sat in an office and I cried like a child, and I left, and I never will be employed again because I thought, you know what? No, you can't. And I that's why I said I don't know if it's on purpose, because what would happen is I'd have my directors coming to me going, but you're so brilliant, you're excellent, you're amazing, you can do the impossible. No, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do the impossible. But because you put me in a situation with no resources and make me have to do the impossible, and I have something called self-respect, I will endeavor to find a way through.
Yeah, and it's to play on two things. Either the black women are super powerful, super women, resilient and whatever, and at the same time being like, well, if we set her up to fail, when she fails, we'll be like, look, they cannot do it anyway. So like, it's just so fucking, damn. So down, insidious. Yeah, exactly. And thank you for asking the thing about the Belgian context, because even in my preparation about Erasure and whatnot, I had prepared like an example from Belgium, because for example, like last year, Bruce, I don't know if you remember, but like for the week of the Belgian music, Week van Belgische Muziek, like their theme was like, how hot is Belgian hip hop right now? And they put this whole cover plus like a spread, everything in whole of Bruce, and they fully erased dark-skinned female MCs.
This is the point we're making. It's so easy to not do that.
It's so easy because, I'm sorry, Miss Angel was supposed to be on the panel with us today, but she couldn't make it because she has another engagement. But Miss Angel is the best MC we have in Belgium right now, period. Not black, not female MC, not black. Like, she's just the best because she's done everything. She's done grime. She's done taking experiences from the Caribbean, from the continent, and put it in her music. She's done features with other rappers, and she bodies them on all that. And that's why we was super excited to have her here. But she was not mentioned. They did not mention Koeli, who helped put the Belgian hip-hop scene on the map. None of them, but they had time to go and ask like a whole bunch of non-black, like some black men, but also like a lot of non-black musicians that don't even make hip-hop mainly.
It must be intentional. I can't.
It's like intentional. And like bookers and programmers and stuff like House of State, I was like, but you couldn't go and get to the people who embody the culture in the best way, in the most creative way. And I remember I was like, the only black woman of black descent there was Nuna, Black Mamba, and she is mixed race herself. And people were like, is that an attack on Nuna? I was like, no, because I absolutely love what she does. And Nuna was the DJ of Miss Angel. So this is not to create any division, but it was just like, if Nuna didn't look the way she does, despite all her talents, even she would not have been included. You know? So
don't you think it helps that I speak like the Queen?
It does.
I mean, hello.
No, everything helps.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I can walk into spaces that
grab and
other
take back to them.
Ladies of my complexion can't.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that I can take and bring back to them, which is whether it's like the features that remind them of theirs, the color that's like, ooh, you must be mixed. That means you have one of us in your proximity, like literal, or the way you speak, the everything that will be like, yeah, then we'll accept this person. And that, like we said, it was not to bash on the black people who have those privileges, because usually they work together, but like it's very intentional. Know that they are accepting you into this place in a very intentional way and keeping your sisters out of there in a very intentional way.
I'm
so
hearing.
And so that we can be like, then when we create our own things, be like, there's going to be structures.
Well, this is the funny thing about the spaces that I create, and it's actually because I'm really insecure. So for instance, with the festival that I produced, people didn't even know I produced it. Yeah. And even the residency, you'll see the video, everybody on there is the creatives and the artists. And it's not to say that I just think there's a time and point when you can own the space. And so, you know, I just think it's just inappropriate to always be, it's not even, I'm making it sound too soft. It's just nasty theft. It's just violence. You know what I mean? You know,
it's intentional.
Yeah, because there's, you know, I've got musicians, they've created their song, and I'm going to, because, you know, I'm going to sort of like represent them instead of them representing themselves, or give them the choice to. But what I've done is they get really nervous in some spaces, and that's with the coaching. So one of the things that I loved was I got one of the film directors I worked with, and he was really nervous about doing a talk like this. And I just held his hand.
Yeah.
And it's just, and you know, I think to myself, how many white producers would actually do that for their black artists?
No, that many.
Because the truth of the matter is that there is so much that's going on that means it's easier to actually diminish, you know, certain people because they're already full of insecurity. But to take advantage of that, to actually say, oh, but they didn't want to be the one. Because this is what you're saying is, what will happen is they'll say, oh, but they didn't want to be on the credit. Oh, but they didn't respond to the email quickly enough.
Yeah.
Oh, but okay, I know I'm digressing because it makes me so, I think it's just so mean and just so mean-spirited. Someone has created something and they feel insecure in themselves to be able to stand in front of what they've created. Build them up.
Yeah.
Build them up.
Yeah.
Don't go, oh, that's all right, and then stand there in their spotlight.
Yeah.
And if it takes a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, build them up.
Yeah.
That's what we do. It took us years for some of the artists that we look after to actually be able to stand in front of what they produce, because they've got their own issues. Anyway, you can tell I'm livid.
Yeah, no, but like we got the right to be mad. I mean, Miss Solange said it. We can take one last question. I think there was one there, and was there one? Yeah, can you just then ask both of them, like one after the other, so that we?
I'll be really quick.
Yeah, so that we can just wrap it up after. Yeah, we did start a bit late, and then.
And thank you guys for starting late. Apologize. I was getting makeup. No, I wasn't. I'm joking.
Go ahead.
Hi. So first of all, thank you so much for your input and your presence. Mine's not so much a question, but a remark on like what you have both said in terms of whether, and I'm just going to be very blunt about this, whether white organizations or white people know that they're doing this. And for me personally, I do think they do. Because it's like when you have a conversation with someone and you're asking a question that you know you're not really entitled to, the power dynamics shift. And I'm saying this because like I was in a job interview, and when you as a black person go into a white institution and you go into a job interview, not only are you in the whole mental process of preparing for the interview, but then also in the mental process of, does my hair look okay? Do I look presentable? Does all these other factors are put into play? And I didn't get the job, but they responded in a very long email to say how much they learned a lot from me in the email.
Oh, they do that here too. What?
And it really made me question to be like, okay, so you brought me into the job interview. What were your intentions?
Can I just say, I think it's just a misunderstanding of communication, because if you change it, they could send the same email to a white candidate. And what we were trying to talk about earlier is lived experience. There is a real ignorance that I've learnt when I work with white colleagues that don't understand my lived experience. So it's not acceptable to send the same email to a black person as you would a white person. It will be taken in a completely different way. 1, yeah. 2, we need to have a different way of assessing the experience that you had. Where is the opportunity to actually be able to say, I did not receive that? You know, that was not received. I know what they were doing. Don't get me, wrong. But I think if we want to move forward, it's about, so I had the same situation actually in November, and I had to rebut. I had to go back and say, please break it down to me what you think, how I would have received that. What was your intention?
I don't know, because in the email they were actually explicit to what they got from what I had said.
That's what I mean. I actually had to I had the same thing, and I said, how do you think that sounds to someone who's had their ideas continuously stolen from them to receive that same? I had exactly the same, but I had to go back. And what was interesting was the institution then sent me back a very, very long, they went and did an analysis, and it's so pathetic they'd have to go and do an analysis, but it was done. And the apology was strong. I don't accept the apology. I basically replied back, because I do not accept your apology. We're in 2022. How can you be so ignorant as to have, do you see what I mean? Yeah. So I 100% get what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say is, going forward, how can we collectively come together, have someone support you through what would have been such a horrible experience where you've just been, I can't even think of the words, it's horrible. You go through that experience, but if we want to support change, is there someone in the group that can actually talk to that institution so that they can understand the damage that they've caused? And I've put myself into that space. So when I get people like yourself that say, this is how I can communicate to them and say, look, but we did have a victory. It was a major national organization, and they were able to now change the way they communicate.
I'm not sure, I get what you're saying, but I'm not sure it's about the communication, especially because in the interview they explicitly talk about how they are an institution that try to deconstruct or work through all these buzzword concepts that we're facing or going through.
I hear you.
So that for me was how I understood, is like, okay, they knew what they were doing, because even in the interview, the whole note taking, I thought it was note taking about who I was as a person and like my values and my what I could bring to the team, not like, oh, actually you talked about decolonization and the way that you do your freelancing and this is what we want to take from it, but we're going to get someone else to do the work.
Okay, I'll say it in a much more blunt way because I was trying to be polite.
It's fine.
They've been groomed to steal from us. Okay?
Yeah.
And I go and I very correctly explain that they have a psychosis as well, and this is not on, and I know not being done intentionally, but this needs to stop, okay? Because I have enough of my white friends that will phone me up constantly asking me for ideas, not paying me for them, but I have gotten to a point in my career now where I've got some buzzwords and I can politely say, it will cost this amount for my time, or I just burn that friendship and slag them off to all my friends. But like, you know, so it's not like I do understand, but the thing is, it's like, what I'm trying to add into the mix is intentionality, because that's what we've been talking about. Is it being done on purpose? I actually don't think, I think it's learnt behavior, and we have to work together as a community of humans to to unravel that. Yeah. I'm just trying to be positive.
No. I totally understand that.
And I'm really sorry for the experience that you went through.
You don't have to apologize on behalf of them. And I think it was also just what it brought, what it made me realize was how when you walk into these institutions, like I came as my full self.
I'll do another thing. This is one thing that occurred to me. It's about resources. Yeah. So when I speak, I've got a lot of white friends, and when I watch the way they speak and engage with each other, they share ideas like this, but they don't have a deficit of resource that black communities have. So they don't have to do a transactional exchange all the time. Yeah, I know it's been, but I know it's on speed and on crack when it's done between white and black. Yeah, it's much more like vigorous, and it's really unfair. So that's what I'm saying, that these conversations, this is why we thought, let's bring the fire, let's just bring the truth. And it's like, let's hold ourselves accountable to the reality of the institutional kind of like racist structures that we've inherited. We don't want this anymore. So instead of sitting there going, we need to create a support system so that you can go through your experience and then be able to have someone champion and challenge the organization on your behalf, instead of it sitting down. Yeah, we've got to keep moving. I don't want to, there's a really wonderful project that I'm actually part of, and I actually invite the colleagues to it, because fundamentally, it was, group of white people, and they came up with a structure of how can we actually start to unpack all of this kind of like structural, basically, not just not all the whole thing, but just parts of it. And the question was, how do we relate to each other? And I fell in love with this immediately, because it was like the power imbalance. Yeah. So Europe, because I do a lot of work in Africa, And so that's your black and white right there. So the power imbalance, how do we create a situation whereby we are actually working together with equity? And this conclusion we came to was obviously one, being respectful, but actually recognizing everybody's power. So just because Europe has like 5 million to put into the project, they don't have the contacts, the creativity, the ability to move an idea that their African partner has. And so, you know, bringing that together so that you can see that experience weighs as much as the 5 million, started to create this beautiful way of working where now it almost feels, I can't think of the word, but now working together is as it should be, you know. Just, you know, it's.
Yeah, no.
Do you understand this sort of?
I understand, but right now I'm just visualizing that it's just to be able to work in collaboration. You, like as you say, you have to make your own table, because if you bring
100%. That's why I'm like, I don't. 100%.
Because I was super interested in hearing what you had to say after I came into this as myself, and so I wanted to hear what you said. So can you just elaborate just a bit? Yeah, what you wanted to say.
I came into this as myself. I am someone who is quite straightforward. I'm told I'm quite straightforward. And in the interview, I was very blunt and very straightforward in the responses I gave, knowing the fact that I'm walking into a white institution as well. So the responses were comment on dit encadré,
framed.
Yeah, framed. Yeah. I speak more English than French. So I don't
right?
know.
I was like,
So so the responses were in the sense of okay, I know I'm coming to your white institution. I know that this is what I'm going to face, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that was me coming as my full self with the attire that I feel comfortable with the way that, the way that I know I can articulate the best I can. Yeah. And what I felt and saw and sensed and shifted in the interview was the fact that it was ooh, you are overly confident in this space. And then the power dynamic sort of shifted in the sense of the questions that I was receiving was okay, you're not really, are you testing me based on my ability, or are you testing me based on how far I can cooperate with you as a teammate, and how far I would pursue. So, of course. Yeah. Exactly. Of course. But so.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Quickly, very quickly, you're just stated and very briefly.
Sure.
Very briefly, so that we make sure that we've covered everybody.
She just ended with a tough one. That's
not a tough one, because that takes time. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you again. It's a pleasure to be here and to hear from you. My question was mostly looking back when you were starting your career, and when you were speaking about some of the experiences you had gone through and some of the encounters you've gone through. It's quite a pity to see this. There's a mirrored reflection of these occurrences in all our stories, and the worst thing that I have faced, also beginning my own career, and also I would imagine from her, is gaslighting. And I was curious how you maneuvered through that, because for me, my strategy of approach was being silent. I'm originally from Africa, East African. I went to a predominantly white school there also. So I have been fighting white institutions since I was 17, and it's reached a point I just, But so I tried this in a recent situation that I was in. My strategy of approach for gaslighting was silence. Just listen to it, and because at the end of the day, we know how this goes. I would call it a vicious cycle. We can already, I usually say, as a black person who has been in these spaces before and who has seen this, we can already foretell how it will go, and that's why we don't complain, and that's why I kept quiet.
Do you know, it's so funny what you say.
Sorry, but I was just curious. What would you advise in whether it's gaslighting or in such a situation?
I can't. I know what you mean. I can't answer because it would. If I answered it, it would mean that I had the solution. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're not experts.
Yeah. No, it's not even. It's it's continuing. Okay. It's the question that has been coming up all through this conversation. Yeah. So one of the things that all I can comment on is it saddens me that I've been doing this for 20 years and it seems that nothing's changed. It saddens me that I can still be brought to pieces by a very, really, I'm trying to do the example quickly. In November, very large institution, I applied for some project grants, It doesn't say how many you can apply for. I just decided to apply. We've just come out of COVID. I've got loads of projects that I haven't been able to do. I've got the energy. I wanted to apply for them. Yeah. I didn't mean to. I got them all. And it's independently assessed. And in that category, sort of, And so instead of saying, instead of me being awarded them, I was told that I was greedy. I was told I was basically accused of who do I think I am. And I know for fact, and this was the gaslighting, this is what I'm coming, and then I asked, could you please give me some feedback? Why is it wrong for me? It's been independently assessed. And they were trying to trip me up and saying I didn't have the capacity to do it. Who did I think I was to think that I could do these projects? And then I started to believe it. And luckily for me, because I have an immediate group network, they could see I was starting to fall apart a bit. And I was like, what's going on? And then I said very quietly, this happened. And they were like, are you kidding me? If it had been a white organization, they would have shouted it across the rooftops. You'd have gotten an award, a medal, everything, for the fact that you went and put in those applications and you won first place, second place, and third place. So I don't know what the answer is to overcoming gaslighting, but my protection racket is that I speak my truth, I'm honest, and I surround myself with people that love and respect me, so they can catch me, when I fall, and they can tell me when the reality that I'm presented with is actually a fallacy. So that's all I could say.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was a beautiful way to finish this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to Yemisi. Thank you for listening to Charisse. Thank you for listening to me. And I'm just going to let Ren bring it on home.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Come on, Queen.
Are we trapped?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you so much, Yemisi. What's up with this mic? Okay. It's on. Thank you so much for your inspirational insights, your showing your perseverance, really being the embodiment of women in power. Not only you, but also Charisse, Asha, and I feel totally inspired. I don't know about y'all, but I feel inspired and ready to take on this world because we have a lot of work to do, right? And thank you so much, Eric, as well, for co-curating this together with your colleague, Olga.
Yes.
Also
next time, let's do a queer one because I was like, I didn't really have time to get the whole queer thing into it. So if y'all listening to me, people in power with the coins. We want to do a queer one as well, but thank you.
And of course, also thank you to Ayoko Mensah. I don't see her in the room. She's probably doing what she does best, running around and fixing everything. And thank you so much for being here. Really, applause for yourself, applause for everyone. You did a great job.
Thank you.